What's the danger of your EV catching on fire? This is a legitimate question, and I decided to dig into it and find out what the data actually shows us. Welcome back to All Cars, y'all. I am John, and EVs are coming. I talk about it a lot on this channel, and there's a lot of criticisms or misunderstandings about them, and I am one by one going through these and peeling them back. For example, I have a whole video already about, are you going to die in a snowstorm if you get stuck in your EV? Well, not only was the answer no, you're actually probably going to do better than if you were in an internal combustion engine car. But one of the issues that comes up with EVs is the risk of fire. And I think primarily this is because there was a number of fires with the Chevy Bolt. They damaged property. There was a massive recall around them. And there's been other social media shared with spectacular fires of EVs, including a ship off of Norway full of cars. And it was rumored that one of those was an EV that started the whole thing. But what do the facts actually show? As an engineer, whenever I see something and I want to form an opinion on it, I go and get data. And luckily for me, somebody already compiled it. So this is really fast, as a matter of fact. Let's talk about that ship off the coast of Norway first. Yes, there was a ship filled with something like 3,500 autos, as I recall, and they had several hundred EVs on it. And the owner of the boat company said he thought it started with one of the EVs. As a matter of fact, all the EVs were undamaged. It was not an EV issue. But what about for you and me as consumers? I hear this many times. I see it on social media. I've had it in the comments on my videos that people have a hesitation of having an EV and parking it next to their house or inside their garage for fear of fire. Well, that's legit. There's a chance. And people have other fears they express of being trapped in one when it catches on fire. But what does the data actually show? Well, luckily, data compiled by the Bureau of Transportation Statistics and the National Transportation Safety Board got pulled together. And what they did is they looked not only at the total number of fires, but the number of fires per 100,000 cars. And that's important because if you just simply have less vehicles on the road, you're going to have less fires. But rationalizing it across 100,000 on the road gives you a meaningful number to compare. And the fact is the answer to the question is EVs are substantially safer than an internal combustion engine car. But there was a surprise in here. Looking at their data, per 100,000 sales, gas-powered, you have 1,500 and, let's say, 30 fires. For a pure electric, 25. That gives you a difference of about 60 times more likely to have a fire in your internal combustion engine car. The surprise for me was that they broke out hybrid vehicles, and they had 3,400 and, let's say, 75 fires. So that's really surprising. And let's talk about the hybrids first. I think that's simply because they've got the batteries and they've got the engine. They've just got a lot more going on there. Now, Tesla themselves actually said that battery electrics are about 1/10 the fires of what you would expect in a internal combustion engine car. And as a matter of fact, data from Sweden shows that their battery electrics are only about 1/20th the number of fires relative to the number of internal combustion engine vehicles. So, generally speaking, if you've got a concern about fire, the battery electric is actually much safer and statistically significantly much safer, much less likely to have a fire. But the flip side of this is why the fires occur and how they occur. So I don't want to dismiss the concern around fire entirely. The first is most of these are caused during accidents, where either something ruptures in the battery pack and some of the chemicals are allowed to escape. They're exposed to sparking wires, and that can not only light a fire, but a fire that burns extremely hot. One of the statistics I read was that a regular car fire could be put out with 500 gallons of water. A Battery electric needs about 3,000 gallons, so about 6 times more water, and special foams to help cool down the battery pack. And that's the second big issue of where these fires can occur, and that is when the battery packs overheat. It can cause essentially a chain reaction of it gets hot, so it gets hotter, and that just fuels itself into a fire. And I think that's what you hear about and what we heard about with the Bolt and its massive recall and the property damage that was done. But the chances of that are pretty slim overall, and with changing battery chemistry, better sensors, better battery control, and a little bit of common sense, most of these all just kind of go away. And in terms of fighting the fire after an accident, that comes down to largely training and equipment for the firefighters to know what they're doing, and there's been already movements to get that technology, get that information out to the firefighters so they know what they're doing and how to effectively fight that fire. So why is this such a big issue in the minds of many consumers? Well, I think part of it is EVs are the new thing. They are a different creature than driving just a standard internal combustion engine car. And people are out there looking for information. And because of that, because every newspaper wants to talk about it, every news source, every automaker is talking about EVs, they tend to get news. They tend to get headlines. And when your car catches on fire on the side of the road and somebody shoots a video of it, or catches fire outside of your house, it gets the news and it gets spread everywhere. So it's more of a top of mind kind of issue. And the second thing is associated with that is if your F-150 catches fire on the side of the road and burnt, nobody really notices it. It's accepted. But with an EV, it's new and special, and is there an extra danger here? So I think it's just more of being top of mind for people. Now, does that mean that I totally excuse it and that it's not a concern for me? No. Talking about changing battery packs, battery chemistry, making them more safe, more sensors, better battery control, heating and cooling of the battery, that's going to continue to evolve in the future. So does that mean if I went out this afternoon and bought an EV, I would have no concerns? No. I'd still have that concern. But not enough to not own one, if I'm honest with you. So the fact is do EVs catch on fire? Sure, it's a possibility, but at a rate of about 1/10 to 1/60th as often as anything else. They're a little bit different creature, so you have to be aware of them, and I think this will become mitigated as the batteries get developed further. But right now, I think it's just overblown. Let me know what you think below, guys. Thanks for being here.